Shalom, and welcome back to Bnei Noach Academy, Thoughts on the Torah. Please remember to hit the like button, to subscribe, and most importantly, to share this insight and inspiration with friends and family. Based on Genesis chapter 25, verse 8, 9, question. Ishmael, the eldest son of Abraham, what kind of person was he? Was he a good person? Was he not? Well, let's just start with the fact that, to his credit, he allowed himself to be circumcised at the age of 13. And that's a wonderful thing, because he could have refused, especially considering that God never spoke to him. God spoke to his father Abraham, and it's his father Abraham who's communicating the message to him, and he could have refused. He was old enough to say, no, I'm sorry, I don't want to go through this pain. And yet he submitted himself to the will of God. That's a fantastic thing. However, as he grew a little older, if you recall the story where even Sarah demanded of Abraham to get rid of him because she saw him as a threat, as a bad influence to her young son, Yitzchak, Isaac. And in fact, God said to Abraham, listen to what she says. And he expelled him from the home. Ishmael left. Ishmael had ups and downs, but some tremendous downs. But here we find something very, very powerful. The fact is, Ishmael is the son of Abraham. It's just hard to imagine, hard to believe that somebody coming from such holy seed, somebody coming from such a great father, and having been raised in such a beautiful home, such a fantastic set of parents who cared not just for their children, but for others, for strangers, who were the epitome of kindness and belief in God, that he should stray and never come back. And here we have a clear indication that in his older age, Ishmael, quote, repented. He did shuvah. He returned. He came back to the fold. If you see here in verse 9, it says his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah. Notice that it says Yitzchak, Isaac, before Ishmael. In other words, even though Ishmael was biologically older, but Ishmael allowed Yitzchak to go ahead of him, indicating and expressing the fact that he agrees, he appreciates that Yitzchak is the righteous one. Yitzchak, Isaac, is the one who takes the lead, especially considering something we discussed in the previous class, that according to God's will, Isaac is the true heir. And this is the indicator that Ishmael didn't fight it. He did not contest it. It tells us that he returned fully and wholeheartedly to the ways of his father, to the ways of God. And this is a very, very great tribute to this person. Although there was a time period where perhaps he wasn't that good. If you recall, for example, when Abraham expelled him from the house, and the angel appears to his mother Hagar, who is crying. She doesn't know what to do because the child is dying. He was a young teenager. And what does he say there? God says, I heard his cries. I heard his pleas from where he is. What does it mean from where he is? Obviously, you can only hear someone's pleas from where it's coming from. Well, the sages explain that God is saying from where he is right now. Right now, he's in a repentant state. Right now, he's a good person, even though I know later in life he's not going to be that good. And much later in history, his descendants are going to do terrible things to your people, to his people, meaning to the Jewish people. But right now, he's in a good place. Well, right now, at the end of his life, he was also in a very good place. And he actually completed his life, finished his life, as the verses continue and tell us about the end of his life and how many years he lived. Yes, indeed, he was that great person, someone that's befitting to carry the legacy and the name of the family of Abraham.